This is Patricia Sharbaugh from St. Vincent College, offering a scripture reflection for November 13th, 2022, the 33rd Sunday in Ordinary Time. I recently went to a wedding in which a beautiful Jewish bride married a tall, handsome Roman Catholic groom. The wedding was blessed by both a rabbi and a priest and ended with the smashing of a wine glass. The rabbi explained that the act of breaking glass is done in remembrance of the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem in 70 AD. This symbolic act of smashing a wine glass is meant to remind us that even in joyful times, we are aware that life also contains sadness. Once the glass was smashed, everyone present shouted Mazel Tov. Despite our awareness that life includes sadness, we celebrate the joy of the moment. In the Gospel reading today, Jesus is standing in front of the temple that was destroyed in 70 AD. The crowds are speaking of the beauty of this magnificent structure. The temple Jesus stood before had been recently rebuilt by Herod the Great, and it was admired across the Roman Empire. For the Jews, it stood as a symbol of stability and a symbol of the reliability of their faith. There was one temple for the one chosen people of the one true God. Despite occupation by the Romans, the Jews felt they could count on this one stable structure in their lives, and making a pilgrimage to the temple in Jerusalem was a sure and certain way to secure their faith in God. And yet Jesus tells them that even this sure and certain symbol will come down and not one stone will be left standing upon another. When asked to say more about this, Jesus gives very few words of assurance. He points to more and more things that cannot be counted on. He emphasizes the vulnerability of the lives of those standing before him, and after pulling the rug out from under their feet, tells them the one thing they can count on, saying, "By your perseverance, you will secure your lives." When I hear the word perseverance, my stomach drops. The word brings to mind the memory of trying to carry on in the face of enormous challenges. I think of living from my own efforts, striving through hardship, relying on willpower, and a strength I didn't know I had and didn't really want to discover. But I wonder if we might be able to think of perseverance differently. John Sobrino, a Jesuit priest who was born in Spain but has lived most of his adult life in El Salvador, serving people who suffer from both great poverty and violent political turmoil. Sobrino experienced this violence firsthand when 6 Jesuit priests of his community, their cook and her daughter, were murdered while he was away. In an interview, Sobrino was asked to discuss his thoughts about living and working in an environment in which life is not taken for granted, in an environment where the threat of death is forcefully felt. Sobrino said that amid such a volatile environment, he has found his home, a home he never questions or seeks to change. Amid poverty and violence, Sobrino has discovered a deep inner stability, and when asked the key to that inner stability, Sobrino says, "I've allowed myself to be welcomed by God." We are all sojourners passing through life. Even in joyful times, we are aware that sadness will touch us, and sometimes we will lose the things and people that are most dear to us. Sometimes the transitory nature of our lives, our frailty, presses in upon us and is forcefully felt. Perhaps in these times, the perseverance we need urges us to keep our eyes intently focused upon God. Instead of muscling through on our own willpower and strength, we might allow a shift in our inner focus that encourages us to stop trying so hard to secure ourselves and instead allows us to be welcomed by God. Our perseverance is not about our own gifts and strengths. Instead, it is a perseverance of faith in a God whose promises to us will never be defeated.